Nemo Radio is on the air.
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Hey, it's John Nemo. Welcome back to another episode of Nemo Radio. And I'm angry. So I thought, why not record a podcast while you're angry and emotional, and we'll say things you regret that will stay on the internet for all of eternity. I thought that was a great idea. So here I am recording a rage-filled episode. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not full of rage, but I am upset. I am emotional because that's just how I'm wired. I get very... This is one of my strengths and also one of my weaknesses probably is I take things very personally. So if you're a client of mine, I take it personal. If you don't get wins, I'm upset. I'm up at night. I'm trying everything I can do. And I'm super competitive too. So if I don't, succeed or win at a sales call, then I get upset and all this. And one of the things, the biggest thing in sales is emotion. And one of the things that is so critical is understanding the role that emotion plays. And I love this book from Chris Voss, who's he was a former FBI hostage negotiator, and he has a great book, Never Split the Difference. And he says, emotions are one of the main things that derail communication. Once people get upset at one another, rational thinking goes out the window. So I have two examples of that emotion, and they both come from sales calls that didn't close. So these are failures, right? I'm here to lament my woes here in the sales trenches, right? You can always come to Nemo Radio for the real stuff. Like, I'm not always just going to share the great wins and the easy things. And so one of the calls, I thought it was a done deal. So basically the person comes on, and this should be the red flag, but anytime someone tells you how rich they are and how wealthy they are and how your price isn't an issue should be a red flag. But of course, I'm taking this person at their word. So again, the way that I do my sales process is I try to warm people up with content. I try to use a lot of content up front so that by the time someone gets to a sales call with me, they're really indoctrinated into my personal brand. They know me, they like me, they trust me. They've seen me demonstrate expertise through my ebooks, through my, articles, through my podcasts, through my sales videos, done for you videos, anything like that, where the goal of any prospect coming onto a call is, okay, I get it. I've watched all your videos. I've read your books. I think, now let's talk and see if you can help me in my unique situation. So anyway, this person didn't come in as like somebody that was fully indoctrinated, but they had read one of the ebooks and watched the videos, or so they said. And we get on the call, and they basically took this tone of very, it's kind of a wrestling match, right? They wanted to be the authority, and they're the expert, and, I would be so lucky to work with them. And they're kind of bullying me, right? And they know how to handle a bully. So I just went back at them. I was like, well, listen, I don't know if I want to work with you. Like, if you're going to work with me, you got to trust me and this and that and that. And then the bully loved it because they're like, that's what I want, is a strong partner who won't let me push him around and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I really want to work with this guy, but so I'm going to charge, I'm going to charge the price that I charge bullies, right? And so anyway, walk through all that. And this is what gets me mad is when the person then, of course, spent a bunch of time on the call talking about how successful they were and how rich they were and how they have multiple houses and how they have this net worth and this and that and that. And so then I'm like, okay, well, you're basically flashing your wallet in front of me about how great you are and how rich you are. So obviously my pricing shouldn't be an issue. For my done for you LinkedIn lead gen, you're basically taking the position of how wealthy you are. So, okay, here's my price, right? And so I do what I always do on a sales call, and I use this kind of trial closing where I say, listen, we've spent this time, we've talked about everything else. Now we're down to, the investment level. Here's, let me lay out the investment level, what it would look like to work together. And then assuming the investment level feels good to you, is there any other reason we're not getting started right away? And the idea there is to flush out any other objections. So before I talk about the price, I say, assuming we can agree on the price or assuming we can agree on the investment level, is there any other reason we wouldn't get started right away? And that's where sometimes you'll hear, well, I have to run this by my spouse, or, well, I actually have a different vendor I have to finish with, or actually I have to, this or that or that. And then I can tackle those objections first before we get into pricing. And maybe we don't even get into pricing then. Maybe then I say, well, listen, if you need to run it by your spouse, let's get your spouse on a call or, whatever you might do in that moment. But anyway, this person's like, nope, price isn't the issue. Here, here's my only issue. I want to talk to some real clients of yours because I've been burned before and I want to make sure that you're the real deal. And like, okay, well, here's my wall of online testimonials of people making six-figure sales in your exact niche, right? And here's their names, here's their faces, here's their written comments, here's videos of people saying these things. Well, that's not enough. I still want to talk to some of your real clients. I'm like, okay, well, again, you're saying to me the price isn't the issue, correct? He's like, nope, this is good. That's fine. That's not the issue. I just need to know you're the real deal. I want to talk to your real clients. Okay. I said, well, if that's the case, I said, so assuming my clients say great things about me, then we're moving forward, correct? Yep, we're moving forward. Okay. So then I immediately, quote the price is what I quoted him. And then he said, it's fine. So then I'm like, hop off the call and immediately text two of my clients in this person's niche and say, hey, this person, just wants to talk to one of my real clients. They basically say they're good to go. They just want to check a box. And first off, I want to stop here and do a little aside. Think about that. Like, have you ever talked to, if as an objection, as a way to check out a vendor, are they ever going to give you a client who badmouths them? Like, would I ever give them a client that doesn't like me or is unhappy with me? Like, no, of course not. Nor if I was checking out a service provider, I've never had one give me a current client that hates them. It's like, oh, don't work with them. They're the worst. Like, no one's ever going to give you a bad client to talk to as far as testimonials or references. The same with people applying for jobs. When I've been doing hiring, I've never called someone's reference on a resume or that they gave me and had the reference badmouth them ever. So to me, that's kind of a moot point or a dumb objection or a dumb way to investigate a vendor. Is no one's going to give you someone that will badmouth them. And also, if they have a preponderance of testimonials like I do, like that, you should just be able to look at that online and go, okay, listen, if I can verify all these are real people that said these things, then we're good to go. And like, I've had people too, unbeknownst to me, reach out to people on my testimonial page on my website and just talk to them without me even knowing, right? And my former clients or people I still work with are like, hey, did you know this person reached out? I'm like, no, like, okay, but whatever, Anyway, so this person reaches out and I move heaven and earth to get these two current clients to talk to them and beg them for their time. They're like, sure, we'll help you out. And then, the person says, I'm going to follow up with you on Monday. Okay, great, because it was Friday. This all happened. They follow up Monday. Yeah, I ran the numbers. Your pricing doesn't work for me. I'm not moving forward. But I did talk to your two, references. And so that got me mad, right? And so that's where emotions are going to derail communication, because once you get upset, rational thinking goes out the window. And also the bigger issue here is they weren't giving me the real reason. This person, in my mind, what I'm left to conclude is they were misrepresenting themselves. They didn't really feel comfortable with my pricing, or they didn't really believe they could close enough business to pay for it, or they aren't really worth the millions of dollars they claim they are, or they don't think my value is worth whatever it is, right? And so then I talked to, I apologized to my two clients, like, I'm sorry I wasted your time. Like, I took this person at face value. They said it was a done deal, and they just wanted to talk to you. And unless you said I'm a crazy psycho, they're going to sign on. And then I talked to one of my clients, and he's like, yeah, the only thing this guy wanted to talk about was price. And he was like, this price doesn't feel good to me, and da-da-da-da-da. And so my client's like, so I just told him, like, hey, man, I paid more than John quoted you, and I got incredible results, best leads I've ever had. I've made, I think this current client has done probably close to $500,000 in sales from me. So he's probably 10 or 20x his investment. I don't even know. And my client's like, well, I don't know about you, but I paid this and I've, made $500,000 in sales. So figure it out, But anyway, I was mad and I was emotional because I felt like the person lied to me or misrepresented to me. But this is the thing with sales. And this is what you have to learn. And what I fall into this too. Like, I've been doing sales since 2012 on my own, running my own business. And I've learned over and over and over, and this is the latest example, you have to get to the real objection, And so in this case with this person, I thought the real objection, it wasn't what I thought it was. He said his real objection was, everything's fine, the price is fine. I just want to make sure, I want to talk to a real human being that works with you. And if they say you're good, we're good. And that wasn't it. So obviously, I could have fleshed that out better. And I tried to say, okay, well, assuming these two people I give you are going to say exactly what's on their written testimonial on my website, what else are you looking for? And I guess that's where you kind of have to feel that out. And that's some of that sales dance is you have to feel that out and say, okay, do I want to push back on that and say, is that really the issue? I mean, if we're this far in and you say price isn't the issue and we've laid out the ROI and, it looks like a home run, and I'm telling you these people are literally going to say verbatim what's on this page, and you're telling me if they say that you're going to sign up, maybe the real issue is trust. And that's where I probably could have pushed back. Maybe I could have said, and this is my little therapy session for sales, but maybe that's where I can say, sounds like you don't trust me. Like if, it sounds like you've been burned before. Like tell me about, like, maybe that's what it was. Like this sounds too good, Can I really believe this guy? Maybe that's the issue. Or maybe the real issue, and this is hard to get to, is you don't believe in yourself. And the reason you're being a poser and talking about how rich you are is you lack self-confidence, right? Because that's another thing about when you learn about how to win friends and influence people and mindset. The people that usually have the lowest self-esteem and the lowest self-confidence are the ones that brag the most and are the ones that bully the most. And we know that from school. We know that from real life. And that could be all it is this person actually doesn't have a lot of self-confidence and isn't really confident. And that's why they had to tell me how rich and successful they are and act like my pricing wasn't a big deal, when in fact, obviously it was. And so that was a really interesting one. And then I had a second call where, again, I got emotional and I got mad and I gave the prospect an ultimatum. And shockingly, they're like, forget it, that I'm not going to sign on. I was like, okay. So to unpack that one, what was interesting about this sales call was this was a prospect in a niche for Done For You LinkedIn, where when they initially reached out to me, I said, you know what? I haven't had a lot of success in your niche. I wouldn't recommend LinkedIn unless you're going to do these like 5 things and it's a long haul and it's a long game. We've had mixed results in this niche. Here's what I've learned. I just want to be straight with you. If I'm you and you've got other, directions you can go, maybe LinkedIn's not right. And the person's like, wow, I really respect that. I didn't expect you to actually be honest with me. I want to talk to you. And so I was like, okay. So I talked to the person and it sounded like it was a go. And they're like, yeah, we're committed to the long game. And all the objections that John, that you laid out, we're good with, and we're going to play the long game. And we know this niche is hard, and we're committing to a 2-year plan and this and that and that. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, okay. So then I thought we had a deal. And then the person says, well, now I have to bring my partners on. So let's have a call with my partners. So I have a second call with the partners and this person. They all are like, yep, sounds good. Let's talk and we'll get back to you. And then more time goes by and more time goes by and more time goes by. And I'm, of course, being politely persistent and finding ways to follow up. And then the person finally says, yeah, my partners are getting, we're getting cold feet. It's more than we want to spend. And so I call the person that day because I love to wheel and deal. And I say, listen, like, if that's the issue, like I've put time in, you've put time in, we've been talking for 37 days. Like, so here's the deal. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, if you commit to a 2-year contract at this rate, I'll waive these fees and I'll lower this rate and I'll wheel and deal with you and I'll put skin in the game and you can do a payment plan. And so I felt like, man, I'm really going all out for this person and doing them a real solid, right? And they're like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, just give me to the end of today. That's incredible. That's such a great response. And then I, of course, follow up at the end of the day. Oh, well, I need to still talk to my partners. Give me until Friday. Okay, so I give them Friday. Oh, I'm going to need another week. Okay, so then I wait a week and I follow up. Yeah, they're still having cold feet about the pricing. Give me another week. And that's when I just was like, okay. I basically just said, hey, I got emotional, right? Because I felt like, God darn it, we were going to get a yes or no, 37 days ago. And so I basically, again, I tried to use logic and say, like, listen, hey, here's what we've done to date, But again, I basically said, listen, like, I need to decide what we're going to do here. Because I do have some leverage. And this is the other part of sales is you have to have leverage and kind of an abundance mindset. I know for me, and what I do for a living is lead generation. I have no shortage of leads and qualified leads. So I don't need to be beholden and be kind of at the mercy of someone who's kind of waffling, right? There's a fine line because you don't want to come across as a jerk, but you also want to have enough leverage to say, like, look, like either this is a heck yes or a heck no. Like, we've laid everything out. We've talked. You've been through all my content. We've answered all your questions. Like, at this point, you either got to pull the trigger and jump in or no. And that's basically what I tried to say to the person in the email was like, hey, listen, we've been talking about this for 37 days. I have dropped my fees by over 5 figures, in exchange for commitment to a 2-year deal. Like, either we need to do this today or we're going back to the normal pricing. Like, I said, like, this is true. I added 3 new clients last week. My model has changed as well with Done For You, where I do it all personally now. So if you work with Nemo Media Group on Done For You LinkedIn lead generation, you get me. Like, you get the guy that built the whole thing, like, that's written all the books, been doing it since 2012. I personally interview you. I personally do your strategy. I personally write your profile. I personally create content for you. And then I have a team that helps me implement it all and generate the leads and follow up. So my time is limited, right? And it's finite, but that's a lot of leverage for me to say, like, listen, if I'm going to work with you, you're getting me personally. So that's why the price is what it is. And you're not getting outsourced or offshored. And so anyway, that the person's just like, well, then it's a no. Like, if you're going to give me ultimatums, no. And then, so I was just like, okay, well, listen, let's examine the facts. And here's the facts. And you told me 17 days ago, I'll let you know by the end of today. And then so it's like, again, nothing, we're not going to move forward. And so for me, and for anyone in sales, it's kind of like, you have to have a short memory. You can't take it personal. You got to find a way to like, vent this out. And for me, what always helps is processing. And just whether I'm doing it on a podcast, whether I'm doing it talking to my business coach, talking to my wife, I need to get it out and get over the emotions of it. And remember too, at the end of the day, people are humans, right? They're not acting rationally. There's a great line from Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And he's like, we're not dealing with creatures of logic, right? We're dealing with creatures of emotion. People get scared. People get mad. People get sad. They don't act rationally. Like, you don't know what's going on in that prospect's life as well. Maybe the day that they talked to you, they were full of confidence, and then they thought about it and got cold feet because someone got sick, or who knows, right? So again, it's hard sometimes not to take it personal, especially if you're wired like I am. But I wanted to share that because I think the key is understanding the role of emotion in sales and understanding also what's the real objection. And that's a big thing in like Chris Voss's book and other sales trainings I've been through, is like, keep digging, keep poking, keep prodding until you get to the real objection. And honestly, the only way to get better at sales is experience. Like, I have to fail at so many of these calls to learn how to do it the next time. So now the next time I get in a situation where someone tells me how rich they are and tells me my price isn't the issue, but they're not willing to move forward until they talk to 2 actual clients, I'm going to show them the wall of testimonials and say, here's the exact 2 people I would have you talk to. Here's exactly what they're going to say. And you're going to move forward if they say that. And if they say yes, then I'm going to say, but is that really the issue? Then why don't we move forward? Like, is it a trust issue? Like, what's the real reason here? Because that seems and I could also say, would I really give you people that are going to say bad things about me? Do you really think I would? Like, what are you looking for? Like, what's the real concern here? And I bet I would have gotten deeper into it. And so again, it's just a learning experience. And I think the beautiful thing with sales and understanding it is the abundance mindset. There's so many opportunities. There's so many leads. And with LinkedIn, there's literally 1 billion members. So I'm not going to run out of leads. I'm not going to run out of opportunities. My clients are not going to run out of opportunities. The key is learning, right? You got to get in the trenches. You got to get beat up and banged up and scratched up and then learn. I think Winston Churchill said it best, success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. So there you go. 2 failed calls, 2 failed sales, but some really important takeaways. And now I feel better. I have calmed down. So with that said, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you soon on another episode.